checking in on you, though.
We're gonna call our meeting to order at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Rick, you want to start us off?
Sure. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I have a semi-lengthy update, but I promise this will be the only time that this happens. All right. I hope everyone had a restful, safe, and happy New Year. As we begin to hit our stride to the end of the school year, I hope our students, parents, and residents alike take part in attending many of our upcoming events, such as the Mystery Theater Dinner on January 23rd. Tickets are available. See Danielle. We're knee-deep in basketball and indoor track. Be sure to cheer on our athletes. It's also budget season. We always request participation from townspeople. Our schedule is posted on the school website and is included on the Board of Finance portion of the town website as well. Our next budget meeting is January 21st at 6 p.m. in the Middle School Media Center and is available on Zoom. You'll notice an update to our agenda in regards to adding a section for board member comments. We're also going to be discussing items differently. Everyone at the table will have a chance to comment, including our liaisons, going forward. At least once, with the caveat to try not to repeat prior comments or piggyback further on other comments. As well, we have several teachers with donor choose requests. Be sure to search the website, and if you wish to assist, please do so. As an update, I've made several communication attempts to 13 local districts to have our boards come together to put more pressure and notice to our state and federal representatives regarding our issues with economic cost sharing and special education costs. To update, I've met in person with Pomfret, Scotland, and Hampton. I did that on Saturday. And then I'm meeting up with Woodstock at the CABE Legislative Breakfast on Thursday. And my hope is that if the boards come together collaboratively, we can finally make some change. And that's my update. Great. So, Finance Director, Mr. Steglitz. Oh, sorry, citizens' comments. Well, we'll start on Zoom. If you are on Zoom, I ask that you have your name listed rather than it being listed as iPhone, etc., etc., etc. If you can't change the name, if you could please note in the chat your name going forward. Anybody on Zoom? I don't see any. And then we'll go to citizens' comments in the room, please. Please state your name, your address.
Steve Herbert, Wilsonville Road. I just want to reiterate a comment I made last week. I think not evaluating the budget that's been presented to the board is a mistake. I understand the frustration. You worry about the pennies, and then the budget gets cut by $500,000. Doesn't seem to make sense. But I do think you need to put the effort in to do the best job you can presenting a good budget up the chain. Thank you.
Anybody else in the room? All right. And all right, so now we'll move on. Finance Director update.
Hi, everybody. My comments will be much briefer this week than last time. Revised budget of $21.8 million remains unchanged. Year-to-date spending currently projected at, currently is $9.8 million, 45% of the budget, a little bit behind where we were last year at 47.6. Encumbrances, however, are ahead of last year at $11.9 million, 54.5% compared to 51%. A little change in the numbers from here on out in the report from last time around, and I'll explain that as I go through. Projected spending $21.7 million, 99.6% of the budget, compared to 98.2% in the prior year. We have incorporated The estimated 2026 special ed excess cost payments of $140,000. The remaining IDEA funds, which typically go towards special educator salaries, of $222,000. And the seed grant, which was recently won by the district, Melinda, a couple months ago, if I remember right?
Yes, and that is for a new programming or new staff.
Correct. So that gives us a better feel. We were trying to make our projection for the full year deficit in special ed as close as we could. One thing I want to caution the board and the audience, anyone else who may listen to this down the road, as we all know, special education is extremely volatile. So this is our best shot as of right now. Obviously, if students with high needs move into the district or out of the district, it could change incredibly in the blink of an eye. So as of right now, we have 2 departments projected to be over budget. Pupil services, currently the projected deficit after all of these items we just talked about above is $274,000. The drivers, however, remain unchanged. It's out of district placements projected at $380,000, and RBT and related spending of $66,500. As usual, this is partially offset by lower than expected special education transportation costs, and the ESY line. I keep having to repeat it every month, but that won't change because obviously ESY is over with. So that's this month's financial report. Any questions?
Heather?
So the amounts that you had in bold, have these been received yet?
No, that's why
Okay.
typically we do not include them in our
Yeah.
projection this early in the year.
Right.
However, with the communications that are going back and forth with the Board of Finance, we really need to, we know on some level that we're getting these in eventually.
Do we have like a supposed time, like an expected, anticipated timeline?
Special ed excess cost, the first payment's usually February and then June for the final payment. The IDEA funds are due to us. The timing of when we utilize those, we usually tend to hold on to those till the end of the year to try to balance things out a little bit. And the seed grant is new this year, so
It is new.
so that's something that it was great news, but
The
we
commissioner's
haven't-
gonna talk about it on Friday, so I'll
Okay.
have more detail as to when the check is coming.
Right, but we haven't received the monies there, but we have been awarded it, and it is for this fiscal year, so it figures into the math for the communication that we want to have with the Board of Finance.
But it's more consistent in terms of more consistent and then giving us our money, unlike the construction project where we're
Right.
behind by several cycles at this point,
Yes.
right? So this is
Yes.
pretty much, it'll come, it's just,
Yes.
it's not the same volatility.
All of
as
these
the
will
other.
come. The one that with a little bit of uncertainty, I guess we could say, is special ed excess costs. We had estimated $170,000 going in, but we gave that a haircut to try to be not disappointed when we don't get the $170,000, I guess is the way to say it. Because unfortunately, the last few years, as those formulas change, that reimbursement only seems to go down a little bit. So we did reduce our estimate a little bit for purposes of this exercise.
Yeah, and the other driver with that is as more students are kept in the Bradley program, the cost goes down, we don't meet the threshold.
Right.
Or we keep students in class because it's the least restrictive environment. So
Thank
there's
you.
a few variables there.
Justin?
Has the excess cost, has that formula been settled for this year yet, the
Yes.
reimbursement percentage?
Yep.
Yes.
It had. Okay, do we know what that percentage was this year?
Chris on,
Chris
by
on
any chance, Danielle?
No, he's not.
No.
I can get
it for you, but it is a higher threshold with a lower reimbursement.
Reimbursement, so unfortunately on both.
Yeah,
ends.
I forget the percent.
Just wanted to know if that had actually been settled before we estimate a number.
That number, the 140, is pretty accurate based on the students that we have that exceed the threshold.
Thank you. Sure. That's all I got, Justin.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Steglitz? Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's in Chris's report.
Um,
Sometimes.
it's not yet.
I'll have him
Yeah.
do that.
Mr. Birch?
So the good is that the HVAC project is moving along as we expected. We're still waiting on several pieces of equipment that we're expecting to show up sometime in January or February. We made some good progress over the Christmas break. We've got balancing scheduled for next Monday on the 19th when school is closed. We resolved the issue with the slippery floor in the gym by getting the heat up and running, so everybody seems to be happy there. We are moving forward now with, I guess the best way to put it is trying to fine tune the system and work the bugs out. As I've said before, it was an extensive project, there's a lot to it. But day by day, even though you don't see people around anymore, we are getting through those things, and we're getting that stuff under control. I think in the end, it's gonna be a good product. Everybody's gonna be much better off for it. It's gonna be much more user-friendly. And I think it's, in general, I think the project has been a success so far. Then there's the bad.
I was about to ask what that was.
So the bad is that we discovered, I want to say, well, it was while school was closed, we discovered that the generator is once again losing coolant. So we had Craft Power come out and take a quick look at it. They verified what I believe by looking at the exhaust pipe, and that is that the coolant is going out the exhaust. So that comes down to, the good of that might be that it's a bad head gasket. The bad might be that it's a cracked head or a cracked block. We all are pretty confident that it's a head gasket. The generator is 20 years old. I would say this year or next year. It's got 600 hours on it. It's one of those things like many of the other systems in the building. They're aging, they're getting past their useful life. So the next step is to do a solid evaluation on it, determine exactly what's going on. That is 3 days' work for 2 men at the best. Probably a week's work might be a better estimate. We don't have a quote on that yet, so I can't give you a number. But we all know basically what outside labor costs when you have them come in. So we're looking at 3 to 5 days for 2 men to get the answer to what's actually going on with the generator. I'm pretty confident that it's a head gasket and it's going to be able to be repaired. The next thing is timing. I don't want to leave the facility again with no generator. So my recommendation is that we wait, we do this April vacation, and the repairs will be executed during the summer. At this point, the generator runs fine. It runs every week on Wednesdays. We're gonna do a full load test next Monday just to make sure that it performs under load. But maybe not everybody, but a lot of us have probably had that car that always has a gallon of antifreeze and 2 quarts of oil in the trunk. And as long as you remember to keep putting it in, it'll be okay. That's what our hope is. I guess it's, a matter of rolling the dice on it, but the other option is to take the generator offline, start working on it when my associate has told me we don't have any money. So that becomes that problem. The other bit of bad news, and this is news even to Melinda and Bill because I didn't get a chance to tell them yet, but one of our pair of dump trucks has breathed this last. It's done. They're both 2001s. We got them from the state when the state had used them up beyond their useful life. And one of them now has a torsion bar that's attached to the frame and it's broken off and there is nothing left to weld to. So that one is finished. So we're down to one. And of course, our new truck runs fine. And we have, actually, so far this year, that's all we've used to plow, because we've only had 2 inches of snow at a time. We get a foot of snow, then we definitely need that second truck. Okay.
Any questions for Mr. Birch?
Bill, do you end up calling on the town then to help plow if you need it?
So the town will help us in a jam if we need it, but the town is pretty flat out trying to keep the roads clear. Generally what happens is Joe will send trucks up to keep the fire lanes open until we get here. And then once we get here, then we take over and clear the site. On that note, I know that Joe is looking to get a new 1-ton truck in his budget this year, in which case his plan is to pass his down to us, as opposed to having to go out and buy a new truck and get one that's got a few years on it, but way more life than those 2 25-year-old trucks I've got now.
Heather?
Going back to the generator, if we do, as you suggest, wait till April vacation, do the exploration then, fix over the summer, will we be able to make sure that whatever the cost associated for the fix over the summer is part of the budget if it's done in April?
The budget's in.
I'm saying, have you included this?
No.
Right.
The budget, this is not,
So-
none of this is, so here we are, and this happens every
Yeah.
year. We build the budget in October and November. And by the time it passes in May, June, July, August, we have already racked up so many unforeseen
Right.
costs that it's just an exercise.
Yeah.
And the reason is there's never anything extra.
Right.
There's, I think I carry maybe $10,000 or $15,000 in contingency for these unexpected things. $15,000 will not even cover this generator, let alone anything else that happens.
Matt?
Hypothetically speaking, how much ballpark would a new generator cost? Not that we're looking to buy one or could afford one ever.
So I don't have that answer.
Ballpark.
I couldn't even guess, Matt.
Okay.
So this generator, first of all, this generator owes you nothing.
Yeah.
It's a 600 kW generator. The original plan for the building project back in 2003, 2004 was it included, I think it was a 25K generator that was just going to run the emergency lights in the new parts of the building. We got a deal with CL&P at the time. They bought you that generator.
Okay.
They paid for it.
No kidding. Okay.
The deal was we had to be a member of the demand response program, which we were, and that just meant 4 times a year they would call me up and say, okay, start the generator. And we did. We never got called on for a real emergency, but they not only bought the generator, but for, I want to say, 10 years, we got, I don't know, like $120 a month off the electric bill for doing that. Emergency generation is no longer a part of the demand response program, so they're not buying us another generator, I can tell you that. So I couldn't even offer a guess what a 600 kW generator would cost you.
Okay, thank you.
Justin?
Yeah, to answer Matt's question, I actually just did one for work. They're about $300,000 just for the piece of equipment,
Right.
not including rigging and installation. Balance of the rest of the building. I mean, the HVAC project, everything looks good. You said we lost the dump truck. Everything else, building-wise, we're holding it together with duct tape and bubble gum.
Today,
Okay.
you know, there are some things that you're looking at in the probably not too distant future that are real problems on the horizon that everybody needs to be prepared for. The burglar alarm is no longer supported.
Yep.
So I think we've talked about that before. And when that goes down, then, you know, either you have no burglar alarm or you have to do something about it. The camera system, we've looked into that, because, you know, after the tragedy at Brown University, the investigation said some of the problems are with grainy cameras. Well, our cameras are all pretty much 20 years old. They were great when we put them in, but they're 20 years old, and they don't have the best resolution. The access control system is, once again, it's reaching its useful life. It's wearing out. The master clock system, all these clocks that are on the wall, they all say the exact same time because they answer to some satellite somewhere. Well, we've had problems in the past where it's time for the clocks to change, and the clocks don't change because they didn't get the signal. So we've learned how to, you know, reboot it, get it up and running again, but one of these days it's not gonna work.
Well, that's in our capital plan, so.
All those things are in our capital plan.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, we'll talk about those on the 21st.
All right, move on to the approval of minutes for our regular meeting on December 8th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that motion? Justin, any discussion? I'm going, I'm
Oh,
gonna do the.
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Good.
Heather?
No.
Matt?
No, ma'am.
Kristen? Daniela? Rick? Maddie? No? All right. All those in favor, oh, sorry, Kathleen, my apologies. No, okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose, any abstentions? Motion passes. All right, subcommittee updates. There haven't been any subcommittee meetings. I do have a finalization of subcommittees. I'll send that out this week, so everybody will have their subcommittee assignments. I do know there's a policy meeting scheduled for January 28th.
Yes.
Yes, at 6 p.m. And then negotiation is on the 29th. Or not yet.
Or some of
Or
those
some
other
of the other dates
yeah.
to be determined. And then there's a communication subcommittee meeting on
February 26th.
February 26th.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it for subcommittees. Superintendent report.
Okay, I just wanted to bring to the board's attention that Jimmy Burgess has submitted his retirement. As you know, he was formerly the daytime custodian at the middle school. Jimmy's been with us for many, many years, and we want to wish him a good retirement. We did invite him to come this evening, but he does have some family issues that he needed to attend to. Bill, I don't know if you have anything you want to inform the board about Jimmy's departure and how you're filling that position.
So we, at this point, we can't fill the position because he's not gone yet.
Correct.
So we have temporarily filled it with, one of the evening custodians is filling in for the next 5 weeks, I guess. At which point we will post that position, and they will, you know, all vie to see who gets the day job, because that's everyone's goal, is to have the day job. And then we will have to fill an evening position. We have a substitute right now that's been with us for over a year that I think will probably want that evening position if we decide to give it to him. And then we, I guess, will be looking for more substitutes, both long-term and short-term. Labor is very tight, to say the least. Tonight I have 3 people for a 400,000 square feet building.
Thank you. Thank you, and Jimmy, if you're out there, happy retirement. Thank you for everything you've done for the district. We so appreciate everything you've done for us. I don't know if he's there, but he's been great to work with since I've been here, so we wish him well. The next, yep.
Can I say something? Yeah.
So I typically ask my kids how school is and what's going on. I don't get much information from them. His retirement, my daughter came home highly upset that he was retiring, told me all about it. There were students crying because he was retiring. So please let him know that he really touched a lot of kids, made a difference in their day-to-day life. I'm like, this is what you were telling me about when I asked every day, how was school? And I get, it was fine, I don't know. So no job here is too small. Everybody matters in this facility, in all our facilities, and you know, I was really touched to hear that, you know, my kid came home and was like, oh my God, I can't believe this, and I'm gonna miss him, and we were crying, and I was like, wow. So, Jimmy, best of luck, and you're gonna be truly, truly missed by middle school children, and if you know middle school kids, that's saying something, so.
I would like to invite Deb Meter to the microphone. Deb has put together a very comprehensive overview of the food service department. I think this is the real first thorough look at the inner happenings of food service. As you know, Deb just started working with us, in June of last year.
June 2nd.
And she has thoroughly assessed the department and has put together a really nice presentation. She reviewed it with me the other day. I will say that it does exceed our presentation limit by a few minutes, but I think you're gonna find it extremely interesting.
I talk really fast.
She'll make up for it. Okay, Deb, we're gonna turn it to you.
Yep, it doesn't want to pop on. Give me 2 minutes if you want to just
Okay, well,
say
everybody
something.
has a, so the first thing is I want to start off with, Bill had mentioned at last month's meeting that we had a deficit in the cafeteria. So, and it wasn't a mistake, it's just a little clarity. So, when, at the end of the month, when I get a total of how many meals we serve, it breaks it down by free, reduced, and paid. And I have to enter that into the state system. You have 30 days to do that. So that means the state's not doing anything with that until after that 30 days. So it basically takes 10 weeks for us to get those funds. I still have to buy the groceries, I still have to serve the kids even though I'm not getting it. But at the end of the year, it catches up with us. So it showed, I did a revised budget, snaps of the November one, when it showed the deficit, but we really had almost $64,000 that were coming in that it didn't show because it's not in Munis at that point. So we're actually not in a deficit in the cafeteria.
Outside of the healthcare costs.
Yes.
Here we go. Here we go.
So through November, we actually, instead of a deficit of 45,000, we were actually above almost 18. Okay.
Does your clicker work now, Deb?
Yes, did I?
Perfect.
There we go. Okay. So I just, yeah. So then I gave you a summary of our year-to-date expenses through December. So just so you know, the lunch is sold, that first item there, in case anybody is wondering what that is, that's when kids bring actual cash in on the register and what parents pay online for My School Bucks. Okay, your breakfast and your lunch programs, those are pretty clear there. So I put a pending revenue so you can see what our November and December claims will be. There isn't a question that we're not gonna get the money, it's just gonna take 10 weeks to get it each month, okay? So we are above water a little over $36,000 in the cafeteria, minus the health insurance at this point. Then we had talked, Bill and I last month too, about how things have changed a little bit. So I went back through, back to 22, so we could see what your free and reduced percentages were. I wasn't here, but you can see the bigger difference is that in 24, we had dropped from 66% down to 48% in the elementary school. And during those 2 years, because they were over 65%, which is really the break-even point to be a CEP, which is the community eligibility provision, which means that we would give free lunch and breakfast to the students. It really has to be at that 65% in order to break even. And then we jumped down to 48, we're back up to 50. Then we actually went up a little bit this past year to the high school from 43 to 52. So at this point, we don't have a school that would be eligible for CEP that we could, take advantage of that. So what I started to do was try to get a handle on what the kids like, and I was trying to do a little bit more scratch cooking. So every month we do like a taste testing in the middle school and the high school. So we did some homemade chicken bacon ranch quesadillas, homemade sloppy joes. We did shepherd's pie bowl. We didn't make them as a casserole because a lot of kids don't like their food touching still. So we just kind of assembled them on the line, so that's why we called it a bowl. In the elementary school, what seems to be a great hit is having breakfast for lunch. So on Tuesdays, we're trying to have a catering, so we do pancakes, French toast, waffles, breakfast sandwiches, and they come with 2 sausage links and then tater tots, which is the meal. Then we're trying to do some familiar items. Everybody gets those Lunchables at the supermarket with their kids. So we're using bento boxes to make Lunchables with ham, turkey, hard-boiled eggs. We tried a little hummus at the high school, and it has all the components in it, so they could just snack on it like a Lunchable. And we made McGriddles, which are the pancakes versus the English muffins like McDonald's, so the similarity of what you're calling the foods. Then I just gave you some pictures of what our line looks like daily with fresh fruits and vegetables. Some of it we cut up and bag it so it's easier for the students to eat them. So looking ahead to February, and I keep forgetting to click it.
Nope,
Danielle's got me.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, yeah, the nerve. We're gonna be doing a Big Mac wrap, which is like a Big Mac from McDonald's, but we'll be putting it in a wrap. So we'll be taste testing. And then we're celebrating Rio Grande, Brazil with the rest of the school on the 13th. So we will be having the Cacharo Quente hot dogs, which is the hot dog, we're gonna slice it and we're gonna saute onions and peppers and put it into marinara sauce, and we cook the hot dogs in the marinara sauce, put it on the hot dog roll, and then sprinkle potato sticks on top of it. Guess the kids love it in Brazil. So we will have regular hot dogs that day too. So then there were some questions last month about the negative lunch accounts. So I just tried to answer some of them. Students are not allowed to charge any of the a la carte snacks to their account. Students are never refused a meal unless it's a directive from the parent for many reasons. Emails go out every week. I did not send them out right before Christmas, and this week tomorrow will be my first week since the holidays, just the added pressure. Letters are mailed home to the students with high balances, along with an application for free and reduce and a self-addressed stamped envelope, making it easy for them to apply and come in. Phone calls are made. Most of the time they don't answer. Leave a message. So I took a negative lunch account report and I took the names out of it for confidentiality, but I just wanted to see what the $2,800 looks like. So each line item is a student, okay? So you're free. You say, why does a free student have an IOU, a negative account? It's because they applied and was approved for free, but it wasn't before they started incurring debt, okay? And that's the same for reduced. So you can see there's one student at $114 who was just approved a few weeks ago. When a child is approved for free and reduced, so say today is the 12th of January, I can go back and credit and get the funds from the state up to the beginning of January, but I cannot go back previous months. It's not allowed.
Calendar year only.
For the month. So if somebody was approved today, I can credit back to the beginning of January their debt, but I cannot credit any debt and get funds from the state for October, November, September, Yeah.
Typically, we have always, those students that qualified for free, we absorb those costs
Yes.
and it was difficult to get it anyway. So, since I've been here, for those students that qualified for free mid-year, we kind of made it a wash.
Yeah. So in addition, for reduced, last year and in previous years, the state picked up the 40 cents that it's costing, and a lot of those, $24, $18 are those 40 cents per day. It comes out to about $72 a year if they don't pay the 40 cents for the reduced price per meal. And then on the paid category over there, those are students that are required to pay for their meals. They could have applied and been denied or not applied at all. So that's where the majority of your debt comes from on that part there. So we're doing free breakfast to students, and we're absorbing the expense within the cafeteria budget. That is actually a picture of some fresh baked donuts that we have a couple times a month with powdered sugar. We're doing 2 to 3 days a week. We're doing a hot breakfast in the morning. So how I came about to do that, so on the next sheet, the production for breakfast for each month, I put in what we're getting for free, $2.94, reduced $2.64, and a paid meal, we only get 40 cents reimbursement. So I took the number of breakfasts that we did the previous year and came out with an average between the 3 reimbursements of what it was average cost per breakfast. So I'm trying to stay, so it's $1.81 for this year on average so far. So I'm trying to keep the breakfast expenses with the whole grains and the fruit right around that $1.05, so that I can add in the salaries of accepting the deliveries, putting it away, prepping the meals, working the register during breakfast. So I've actually been keeping track of all the breakfast items that we've been serving. So on the next one you can see, so far to date through December, we had spent $26,000, little over, on groceries. Our salaries at 93, and our total, so our state reimbursement so far in the breakfast is 37,000, and we've spent between the two almost 36. So we're breaking even, so it's not costing.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It is, really.
Yeah. So we're limited, a pumpkin, a slice of pumpkin bread is about 43 cents. Our average fruit is about 25. We're trying to use our canned fruit and put that out that we get through commodities from the government that we have. We are putting fresh apples out, oranges. We are putting cereal as an alternate every day on top of the menu item for breakfast, which comes with a cheese stick because of the requirements. So just a cereal and a cheese stick, and the fruit, we're coming in at about 84 cents. So we're able to use a little bit of those cents to do the hot breakfast on 2 or 3 days, especially during the winter months.
Deb, does that include milk and juice?
Juice is considered a fruit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I did give you a summary of what we're getting for reimbursements, and we are in the severe need, so we do get the 2 extra cents on it because we had a history for 2 consecutive years. But I showed that to you because I want you to see on the breakfast production, if you could look. So we did 8,928 free meals, and we got $26,000. We did 8,698 paid meals, but our reimbursement was only 3,400. So that clearly shows you that we really need that 65% to be a CEP to offer free meals to the students. It was just the only way I could show it to explain it to you. Yeah. So I guess this is my bad news, which is the kitchen equipment. I just wanted to share with you, over vacation, I went through all the equipment in all 3 schools, wrote down as much information that I could find on them. Serial numbers, got in touch if I couldn't figure it out by the serial number, the date of purchase, and the age of the equipment. Our steamer, which is an essential piece of equipment in our kitchen, in our serving line, are in dire need of upgrading. That would be my first priority. I did show you some examples of the serving line. So the first, it's long. So the first section is a refrigerated unit that we store the milk in to serve, which does not work and the parts are no longer available. So we fill that with ice packs. We get like ice cubes. They come on a acrylic sheets on a roll, and you cut it to fit it, and we freeze them and pack it so that we're compliant with the Board of Health. The next section is another refrigerated unit that we have our fresh fruits and vegetables in. Those next two, they don't work either, so we're packing those with ice trays. My bigger concern, because we can keep stuffing with ice, is the serving line, the hot wells, which is that bottom picture. That's what they look like. So you can see the circles on them because those are the coils that heat. We put water in it. They don't self-drain, so we have to empty the water manually and suck it all out with rags every day. So you can see that there's so much rust buildup underneath of them that's when the pans are hitting them. I'm afraid that if they don't, if they go, we will have to reroute the students to get hot meals to other cafeterias within the school, or just serve cold meals to the middle school. Would be the two workarounds for that. The serving line, I could not get an actual date on it because based on the serial number, it is over 50 years old.
I was gonna say, I think it was there
They
when I
don't,
went
they
to
don't
school.
track it
Here,
past
looks the
50
same.
years old.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So just one of those red flags of some issues. And that is the steamer. I'm not sure if people know what the steamer is. So basically, in the back of the door, there is a grate with holes, and the steam comes through with the water, and we do pasta, rice, mashed potatoes. We steam all our vegetables in there. It's almost more important than an oven. Pre-made hamburgers we steam in there, so they stay nice and moist. It's used on a daily basis. And I'm not sure if any of you have new members. The middle school kitchen is the only kitchen that cooks. And then the food is put into hot boxes and wheeled to the other two cafeterias and served from there. So we have one central hub right here that we do all the processing in.
And you said the steamer doesn't work right now either.
It's working. Sounds like popcorn's popping when you hear it. We do have two ovens down right now that the convection oven fans, the motors went on them. I do have a tech coming in to fix those on Wednesday. So my last item is I am a member of the School Nutrition Association, and one of their benefits is Open Cafe. And what it is I invite, and it's scheduled for January 26th, I invite other directors from other schools to come out and observe our 3 locations, take a look at our workflow, how we're handling things. We sit down, we round table, they offer suggestions, or hey, that's a great idea. They bring ideas back for their school. I would go to some of their schools and do the same thing. It's just looking at future ways of improving within the department.
And Deb, could you touch base on the audit coming up?
Yes, well, that was another reason for the Open Cafe. I'm from Massachusetts, so the way things were handled are a little bit different in Mass than Connecticut. That's another reason for them coming out, so that they can in advance observe if I'm doing something that would be of an issue with the audit coming up in April. So we'll have a representative from the state. He will come out here for 3 days. He will go through all of our inventory rooms, our refrigerators, freezers, to make sure that we don't have anything that is, like, say, from Mexico. Everything has to be US. We have waivers on a few items like our juice, bananas, clementines, and pineapple, because we just can't grow them here, of course. They go through in advance, we give them our menu for the month of February, which is what we're being audited for. We provide all our recipes, child nutrition labels, our formulation sheets to show what our meat alternative is, making sure that we're in compliance with our free and reduced applications. They're about 1,000 pages of paperwork that's necessary between now and then. So another reason, again, for having Open Cafe to.
And Deb, not to extend your presentation any longer, but last week we did have a meeting with the emergency folks from the town. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so now I'm putting a manual together for the town, so we'll be using the kitchen in case there was an emergency in town. So putting instructions on how to use the equipment, food safety. The menu basically would be what we would serve to the kids because that's the inventory that I will have in stock. So I will have to change the menu in this book every single month. God, there's just so much with that I haven't even touched base on. I will try every effort to get here, of course. This is my manager, Chris Murphy, here tonight, and she's an alternate too for the emergency management that would come. They are gonna do a trial run and come out with cots and allergies and all that other stuff too that I have to put in this book, yeah.
Justin?
Which kitchen?
Middle school.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the only one we can cook in.
I just needed it on the record.
There's usually only about 200 or 300 cereals on hand, so,
Yep.
yeah.
Heather?
So if there was an emergency and the kitchen were to be used and our lovely staff were not available and they had to use the manual, who exactly would be cooking?
Volunteers.
Volunteers from.
Okay, so random people.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct. That's
Which
why
is
the
the
manual
importance
will
of having
be.
staff here.
okay,
Because we don't want any of the equipment
broken.
exactly because
Yeah.
we'll need to serve kids when we get
And
done
also,
with
what
the
about from a liability standpoint, if a volunteer were to burn themselves or catch the place on fire?
Well, that's
or-
like anything else,
Okay.
right?
All right. I
You
just-
know, it's an emergency, they would handle it through the town,
Yeah.
because they're working for the town. We've offered up our space, as an emergency shelter, and we're trying to Greg has been trying to organize that aspect of things, like getting the cots here, straightening out what we're gonna do as far as it can't be a free-for-all going into the kitchen. There has to be some organization around how they approach the equipment, what the menu is, where the food is,
Yeah.
you know, taking things that are not, taking the more the foods that have to be used first, that kind of thing in the
Yes.
inventory. So there was a lot to it, and so Deb agreed to, with everything else on her plate, she agreed to put together a manual to keep there, and she'll review that with John and Steve down the road.
Yeah, so I would replace the menu every month, I would replace the inventory in the book every month so they knew what they had on hand. And we would keep track of it all because we would need to get reimbursement.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Jess?
Hold on. Anybody else?
I had a question on something different. Since we are now no longer considered a severe, does that mean we lose the rate next year?
2 cents.
I know it's only 2 cents, but we will be losing
2 cents
that.
is a lot
2
over
cents is a
8,000.
lot,
I
right?
know,
I mean,
I know,
okay.
yes.
Justin?
Middle school kitchens on the generator?
My
Is-
freezer is it, yes. Oh, which I did put on the budget report too. I did inventory on hand is a little over $20,000. We
Oh, yeah,
typically
I saw the
keep
food, yeah.
8 to 10 days worth of frozen food on hand, especially during the winter because if the truck breaks down. I can't get a delivery on a Friday for an item that I'm cooking on Monday.
Steve Benoit did say he was gonna look to see if there was any possibility, last time he did that for us, to see if there was possibility that there was some FEMA money associated with fixing the generator. He's waiting to get the quote from Bill and find out what exactly is wrong with it before he can see, you know, and pursue that. I think last time it wasn't feasible. Yeah.
I guess my thought would be, as we grow and this, excellent presentation. I don't want to get off topic into the whole emergency side of this, but as we grow into a larger need for an emergency shelter, does it make sense to see if the town can cover PMs on this engine? right? The periodic maintenance costs
Yep.
on this engine as it becomes more of a emergency service. Like, if we lose power, we're using our kitchen, we're using our food, we're using all this stuff. Our staff who's done all the work to order it and all that. I think whatever the generator PM is monthly, that's something we should potentially go and ask our town to cover, or at least our emergency management team.
Agreed.
We're having that conversation. Actually had that conversation last week. So not necessarily about your generator, but we are receiving kind of a surprise sum of money from the Fed that someone had put in for storm relief from 3 years ago. So we can have that conversation, because this is going to be an emergency shelter spot. Yeah, that generator does serve a purpose in that setting. So we'll have that conversation.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Excellent presentation.
Any questions?
Outstanding.
Nope.
Yeah,
Good
good
job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enrollment update.
Enrollment update. Last month, our total enrollment was 775 students. We currently have 777 students. We have one additional student at Mary R. Fisher for a total of 328 students. Our number didn't change at the middle school. There are 280 students there, and we have an additional high school students, and that number is now at 168, for a grand total of 777 students enrolled on-site in our schools. That's not including the students that are outplaced and at Killingly and QMC. So that's the number of students currently on-site.
Okay. Any questions on the enrollment report? Okay.
Non-lapsing account.
Non-lapsing account.
Okay, so, in my briefs this weekend, I did give you a summary of what is in the non-lapsing account, but for the public, Bill, if you could talk about the funds that are in the non-lapsing account, and then I can talk to you about the expenses that I am proposing against that, so.
Sure. So there are two non-lapsing accounts. The first of the two was created under, I guess, what we should call the old rules, and it is access to those funds is limited. I guess you have to appeal to the Board of Finance to use those funds. In that non-lapsing account, the district currently has $47,285, and that money goes back quite a ways. It's got to be 5 or 6 years anyway. The second account is under the new rules, which are I think 2 years old at this point, 2 or 3 years old. And the remaining balance in what I call the BOE controlled non-lapsing account is $97,154. This primarily goes back to, you may remember that 2 years ago, when things actually did break our way, when it came to special education numbers, and in a very rare year, we were able to put some money aside into that account, and the board also returned approximately half back to the town to help with the surplus position.
That number was around 250, wasn't it?
That's correct.
67, I think.
Yeah.
270?
267.
So the sum of those two is $144,439.
Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
In addition, which is the next item below that, it kind of goes hand in hand. The state has allocated, I don't know what the acronym for DRIP is, but it is basically a DRIP for all the needs that we have. Oh yes, District Repair and Improvement Project. Thank you, Daniela. There's a $70,000 allocation to Thompson Public Schools to be used for facilities capital account. So if you take the two non-lapsing and the DRIP funds, that is a number of $214,439 that is available, I guess, as funds that we could tap into for some expenses. So in my briefs, I explained that we do have to have a discussion around reconciling the FY25 budget. There was a deficit in that budget of $65,000. That was primarily due to over expenditures in special education. You remember last year, we froze everything early on, I want to say the end of September. There was a lot of things that we did not purchase that we had budgeted for. There were things for students that we didn't purchase. We froze everything, but we still ended up with $65,000 in the rear. Honestly, I am shocked that that number isn't a lot higher, but truly, we did not spend anything that we had budgeted for. So that $65,000 deficit, the discussion needs to be made here tonight about how to reconcile that, and you can, Bill is here to answer any of those questions. I did get a quote. The lockers at the high school have continued to be a problem. They've been in our budget to be painted year after year after year. One of the bank of lockers, which is right outside the business and shop area, that whole strip of lockers, they are the biggest eyesore when you walk down that corridor. However, painting them is not going to fix the problem, because if you open up those lockers, they're completely rusted out. Most of them don't have a floor. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to put my backpack and coat in there, even if the outside looked nice. So Brian Santos did me a favor, and he had someone here, and he sent pictures of the lockers, and he got a quote. To have 100 new lockers installed in that wing, it would cost $48,200. It doesn't fix the other lockers that don't look great, but it gives us 100 new lockers that can be usable by our students. So that's something to talk about this evening. Deb just brought forward the new serving line, the one that you saw with the heating and the refrigeration. She got a quote on that for $72,000, and that steamer, which she's talked about, that quote came in at $32,893. So if you total all of that up, it's $218,093. And so the discussion tonight really is, can we reconcile the FY25 budget? That's one item. Can we make a decision about the lockers, and then take a look at the serving line and steamer? And those are the things that I just want up for discussion and possible approval this evening, Chairman.
Okay.
So I don't know how you want to take it. Bill, do you want to talk about the deficit of FY25?
Well, that'd be pretty brief. I mean, obviously, it's still under audit, but that number has not changed as of yet. And we're pretty far down the audit process, but that, an audit's never over until it's over. So that's about all the color I can give you on that at the moment. I reached out to the auditors today for an update. I did not hear back from them. It's a pretty busy time of year for them too, but hopefully I'll hear back from them soon.
Okay. Justin?
What happened to the $25,000 that was set aside by Board of Finance? Is that gone?
That's a good question.
Bill?
Sorry, I'm like an elephant. I got a good memory.
This one might be a little longer answer. So, you may recall 2 or 3 years ago, the town moved from a dedicated, I think there was a library roof fund, to a more combined municipal repair fund. As part of the budget process, just like any other expense, the items that sort of get tossed around to work on, you might remember the Riverside Park lights were one of the things that folks talked about regularly in that. What that municipal repair fund is really meant to be is a repository for transfers over a number of years. It's basically a capital savings account. It was expanded beyond just municipal roofs because there are innumerable needs that pop up at the town and the school that nobody really can foresee. I mean, Bill talks about them every month. The Riverside lights still aren't done. So the $25,000 that you're thinking of, Justin, was one of the items when they were talking about making contributions into that fund. That was one of the items that money could potentially be used for. What I want to emphasize to the board is that the money that goes into that fund, although it may go in with sort of an intention to do the lights or to do any number of things, that is a pool of money that can be mobilized to fix whatever emergency pops up. So it is not specifically earmarked for any one thing. So although when that contribution was made, $25,000 towards the lockers was one of the items, to get that money out to do that work, you would have to petition the Board of Finance, just like you would for any other project. Now, that doesn't change the fact that it definitely was discussed on the way in, but just for frame of reference, last year, if I remember correctly, when the budget process started, we had intentions of funding that account with $150,000. By the time the budget passed, I think that was down to 50. So there was a laundry list of things that made up that 150, and only 50 ultimately made it in. So I will be working up a current balance on that fund as part of the upcoming budget process. But the remaining piece, the $4,000 or $5,000, I think, Melinda, is something that the board could approach the Board of Finance and request. Hey, at one point we had a thought that $25,000 was in there was to help, and we've come up with some grants and some other awards, and we're $4,000 or $5,000 away. Could we get there using those funds? But that's something that you don't have an explicit claim to, but you could petition for.
And Bill is referencing the total number of lapsing account and DRIP grant versus the expenditures. That's where he's coming up with that number.
I thought that it was voted on and motioned to put that money into that account.
I'd have to go and look. Kathleen's raising her hand.
Kathleen?
Yes, I would suggest that we write this stuff up. I don't think we're going to decide this tonight in the time frame that we're allotted. This is something that the finance subcommittee and any other members of the board, we should have a special meeting of the finance subcommittee to deal with this. That is my opinion, my suggestion, because this is something that typically that the finance subcommittee would consider and analyze, and then bring it to the board for their decision.
I don't disagree with her on that. My only concern with that is the cafeteria equipment, which to me seems to be
Dire.
Yeah, that's a health and safety issue.
Yeah, but even that, I mean, if we subcommittee meet within the next couple of weeks, the timeline on ordering that
For what it's gonna take to come in.
is
True.
gonna be. I think we could meet on it. Make the finance committee can make the recommendations to the full board, and we could have it approved in February or whatever those numbers need to be.
Okay. Heather?
I just have a random question. So the 100 lockers, how many lockers are like in dire straits without bottoms?
You don't know that? I'm looking at you. I know that the senior wing has a good bank of lockers, and then they're not so bad down near the library. It's that bank outside of the shop, and then the other cross hallway.
I'm just wondering, is this like 25% of the damaged lockers, half of the damaged lockers, 10%?
We can.
I'm just curious,
Yeah, they're the worst of the
Yeah,
lockers.
right.
If I go back and look at the quotes I got last year, I could give you a number.
Okay.
Yeah, we were just looking at just replacing that one wall.
Matt?
So I don't
It's not all of them.
No,
It's
no,
not
I
all
just
of
was
that.
curious if it was even getting close to half.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I'm looking at 168 students and 100 lockers replaced. I don't have the high school layout memorized. I didn't have any kids went into the high school. is that a semi-central location where 100 kids could use those and they'd be happy?
Yeah.
And then we just need 68 other workable lockers?
Well, the other 68 probably in that senior wing, and then so we've got it covered that everybody could use a decent locker.
Okay, so that sounds like a viable use of locker money is replacing that bank of 100 and.
We had a quote for last year, I think it was like 91,000, 92,000 to have them, oh, you got a new one, to have them painted. But when I was reminded about what the inside looks like, you know, no student is gonna put their stuff in there.
No, you're not gonna,
Lipstick on a pig.
yeah.
It's gross.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, thank you. I'm glad we cleared that up, and that would be a good use of 100 lockers, and, all right,
I mean, more than half would be getting a new locker.
yeah,
Right.
Yep.
good question.
I will say that from Deb's presentation, the steamer seems like it's limping along and could die at any moment. And if that's a critical piece of equipment, that's something we might want to discuss. I understand sending it to the subcommittee, but Justin's right, lead time on those pieces. I think Bill said it wouldn't be feasible to put the serving line in until the summer anyway. So we can postpone that.
Okay.
But I think you are right, the equipment in the cafeteria is something that we need to address, especially that steamer, which I had no idea was utilized that way.
Because you're a superintendent, not a cafeteria person.
Yes, she wouldn't let me near it, I'm sure.
Right.
Purchasing of this equipment that I'm familiar with, you get a PO and you send it out, you end up paying X amount to get the ball rolling, and then on a certain amount when it's delivered. Is there 20-30% down and then 60-70% on delivery, such that it'd be two parts? Bill, you familiar? Or you gotta pay $37,000 out of pocket and then get it in 12 weeks, and then you're
We have a
sitting on
working
that?
relationship with
Accounting.
Kitteridge.
We don't usually pay for the equipment until it's installed.
Yeah, that would make sense.
We
So
would have to approve the money before it would be okay for it to go.
yeah, so it's set aside,
Right.
but it's not out the door. Okay.
So I guess the funds that the board could think about is the non-lapsing account that is not restricted,
As well as DRIP.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's a good use of
as
drip.
well as DRIP.
I was thinking DRIP.
I'm not sure when DRIP is coming.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know. I'm hoping to get some answers, so we do have a commissioner's call on Friday. But that's coming from a different agency. It's not coming from the Department of Ed. It's coming from the construction side of the state.
Yeah, because that's moving much faster.
Yeah, you know.
So,
Matt?
so the hour, we'll call it our non-lapsing account is 145, so conceivably we could cover that.
No,
just the-
ours is
Nine-
97.
oh, okay, no, you're right.
Ours is
145.
97,
Thank
and
you,
then we
thank
still
you.
have 65,000 in last year's special ed costs that we need to account for too.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. So it's not both, but yes.
Yeah, that's
Kristen?
Can you just remind me again, what are the rules for the
Non-lapsing
Board of
account?
Finance controlled one? Do they have to be facilities, or can the special ed funding come from
thought
that?
it would, Belinda, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was special ed and facilities.
In facilities,
So either
yes,
Mhm.
for the restricted account, yeah. Where the non-restricted, if you wanted to buy a set of textbooks with that, you could.
Okay.
Still on the horizon is the generator repair.
Right.
Correct.
We were just told about, plus anything else that decides to blow up because winter's not over yet. Knock on wood, Bill, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you want a motion to approve the $32,893 for the steamer? From the
You can make the motion.
number two.
You can make the motion.
Okay, I'm going to make the motion to spend the $32,893 for the steamer out of the BOE controlled non-lapsing account.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor
So do you want to?
to encumber $32,893.93 for the steamer out of the BOE controlled non-lapsing fund. Is there a second? And with no second, that's gonna die. Sorry. Sorry.
That was the one we wanted to take care of.
Melinda,
Further
do those-
discussion
Sorry.
to that?
Well,
have
you
to get
have to have a
a
second to the motion in
Just
order to
a
have
discussion.
discussion.
Just
Yeah.
to discuss.
Melinda, do those, the 72,000, the 32,000, and the 48,000, that's labor included, so that's materials and labor?
The lockers I know is. I don't have her quote in front of me as far as installation for the steamer and the serving line. Bill, do you know?
I haven't seen the quotes.
Yeah.
They've got the quotes, I haven't seen.
I would prefer to see the full quotes
So-
before we make a decision on that.
I'll make the motion to table this to a finance subcommittee meeting to be put back on the primary BOE agenda for the February meeting.
Okay.
I will second that.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The discussion is I'd like to have the quotes in front of us before we schedule
Yes.
this subcommittee meeting.
Yep.
For all of those items.
Something on paper.
I'll also send you the list of who's on which subcommittees go forward. All right.
So,
One question.
Yes.
Which one is the Board of Ed, because it says non-lapse account and then restricted, which one are you saying is the Board of Ed one?
So the Board of Ed one has the balance of 97,154. The Board of Finance restricted one is the 47,285.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
okay, so the next thing on, under my report is the development of a strategic plan. When I first came, we developed a 5-year strategic plan for the district. We tracked that strategic plan along the way. We made it very public. It was a, we try to bring in community members to develop that strategic plan. Once that was underway and well underway, we diverted from the strategic plan and we actually put a lot of time and effort into building our portrait of a graduate. And when we built our portrait of a graduate, the attributes under independent, knowledgeable, and community connected are the action steps that we have been taking to make district-wide improvement. We also have a district-wide alliance plan that is monitored by the state. Each school has their own set of goals, but we're at a point now where we've got 3 buckets of improvement efforts, but it should be all put into one plan. And so rather than go down the road of doing that big community outreach for a strategic plan, I'd like to draft a strategic plan in-house, bring it to the Board of Ed, and have the Board of Ed review and change it, add things to it, but basically hone in on what exactly are we doing. So taking those bits of the alliance plan for school-wide, district-wide improvement, making sure those goals are in there. The other goals or the attributes of the POG, making sure that those are also reflected in the strategic plan. The strategic plan, like the POG, is supposed to be the foundation from which the community builds the school department. And folks at the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen and the community at large need to be aware of that plan. And as we move forward, I believe that it might be your foundation to maybe nudging some of our facility goals, our instructional goals, our staffing goals. But I would like to start to work on drafting a strategic plan this half of the school year, getting it to the board so that maybe during your summer workshop, you could really pull it apart and work on it, but give you something to work from rather than develop a strategic plan like we used to do back in the day, which took hours and hours and hours of work. Internally with especially when we went through the whole reconfiguration discussion, there's a lot of expertise that lies within the within the school system. So to develop a good plan and then have it, develop for the next 5 years so that there is a future guide for the district. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. If you allow me, we'll start to draft something so that by the end of this school year, you will have a document that you can work on over the summer, change it, add to it, but then as of the next school year, you'll have a brand new, fresh, updated strategic plan to implement in the district, so. I don't know what anybody's thoughts are around that. It's just that we've got these plans, but not everything is centrally located. And it's a good tool to use, especially when we're going through budget and communicating with the community.
Not to say against it.
Yeah, I have no problem.
I think it makes sense.
With that.
Something we have to
That's
approve of you to do?
Not approve, I just wanted to bring
See if
it to
it
your
makes sense to
attention
us.
that I'm gonna do that work,
Okay.
but I'm not gonna follow the traditional structure of doing all this community outreach and a bazillion meetings when we have plans in 3 different buckets that we need to combine into one plan, and then let the board weigh in on, if the board wants to add anything to the plan. But it's something that's gonna carry you for the next 5 years, so I think, doing some internal work first, and then we can make it more public. And we could have, get it out there to the public in case somebody wants to weigh in on it, and certainly do that. But I just wanna stop drafting it if you're amenable to that.
I think that's fine. I don't think we need to micromanage that piece of it.
Okay.
No, but I do think it would help us if we got a schedule, like an outline of what you're planning to do, and then a schedule of how you're planning to accomplish that.
Okay.
So that we can kind of make sure that we're checking in with you appropriately.
Right.
That it's proceeding.
I think that's a fair
Yeah.
way to go about it.
Okay.
All right.
So the first item will be putting together a strategic plan committee. So if there's anyone interested in serving on that role, I'm all ears. And that's in the community and anybody out on Zoom as well.
I think maybe offer it at those parent, I know there's like a parent coffee house at the middle school, right? They're
Correct.
still doing that.
Yep.
Maybe offer at some of those and see what.
And PTOs and that kind of thing, yes. I'll get the word out to see if there's anybody that'd like to participate.
Okay.
And Danielle's been doing some preliminary formatting, so she's already got a template that she's building. So I think that you'll have something to really work on over the summer when you do your summer meetings.
Okay.
And then the next thing is, we have an opportunity through the Superintendent's Professional Organization for, it's a NEASC, not NESDEC, NEASC accreditation. And basically, it is to, as you know, we're going through the accreditation process at the high school. We are having our visit in March. The school has been going through a 4-year in-depth study of school-wide improvement, NEASC being another one of those buckets that we want to add into the strategic plan and some of those recommendations. But anyway, we have an opportunity to apply for, and I wanted to bring to your attention that I'm going to talk to Larry and Kim about the opportunity about getting, applying for and seeing if we are one of, I think, 11 districts that they're going to select, that they're going to give some financial support to go through the accreditation process. It would be nice if we could get the other 2 schools accredited. We would be the only district in the region to have all 3 schools accredited. I don't know of any other middle school or elementary school that is NEASC accredited. I think we're doing some really amazing things at both schools, and it would be nice to do a
Raise my hand.
deep study around that. So I just wanted to bring it to
There it is.
I just wanted to bring it to your attention that I am going to apply to see if we can, as long as Kim and Larry are on board and the staff, because it is a lot of work, as you well know. But I think it would be beneficial to the district to go through that process and have outside teams come in and evaluate both schools. It gives us great insight and we get a great report. So I'd like to dip my toe in there and see if whether or not we're chosen, but I wanted you to be aware that I was going to put that application in. It doesn't cost us anything right now. It might a little bit down the road when you have to host teams, but we already have that money built into the budget under the high school. So we could keep that moving forward in the budget. So. And then final thing under my report, I sent you a draft letter.
Hold on, Matt, did you have a question?
Quick question on NEASC. Would it be a different cycle, or would it be a whole different cycle for the elementary?
Yes.
Would they be doing it at the same time, or
I don't know the answer
Okay.
to that because I've never, in my career of 45 years, I've never gone through that process outside of the high school. So
and what does that
know.
get us? Sorry, what does that get us?
Well, it says that we're accredited against a set of standards, right? High quality standards for education.
Yep.
It doesn't really get us anything except that two things. It nudges the school to do a deep dive in evaluating their school. Secondly, it gives us a very good report to work from on school improvement, which you get an objective team coming in and evaluating that, and that is always, I open the doors for that because, obviously even Deb is doing that in the kitchen. Having other people come in and taking a look at how we're operating and what we're doing and making suggestions to make it better. What spun out of the high school's 2-year visit was the whole Tiger Block thing, and how successful has that been? So anytime somebody can help us along the way, I say let's throw our hat in the ring and see. We might not be selected, but I felt like I wanted you to know that I was going to put that application in pending Larry and Kim's input. Certainly want to talk to them because they're going to have to lead the charge in their schools.
Okay, and
Go ahead.
two little things. I run an accredited lab, so I know all about accreditation. So I wasn't, obviously questioning the value of accreditation. Just didn't know about the the lower schools, and also that would really kind of thumb our nose at the state and our status, our alliance status. If we had 3 accredited schools and the state's calling us,
Yeah,
different alliance.
let's hope. I can't wait till FY27 comes along and we shed that designation. We will be an alliance district, however. I'm certain of that, unless they change the rules. So.
Okay, thank you.
Plus, we don't want to lose that funding.
Yeah.
It's a catch-22 on that one.
Yeah.
But I think it would be good for the town to see if we were 3 schools, right? Everyone talks about how bad our schools are, to have all 3.
Accredited, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'd be kind of nice. I like the process of the self-study. I just think it's really important. We can always do better, but really pulling apart against a set of standards, I think it's important. And it will help feed the strategic plan. Whenever you can revise your strategic plan against the NEAS report. So. And then finally, I did send you a draft copy of a supplemental appropriation request to be made to the Board of Finance. I have a placeholder on the Board of Finance's agenda for Thursday night to put in for that appropriation. We don't have a final number, so Bill and I talked about it, and we felt like an April 1st date, we would have a better handle on where the deficit was projecting. I will say that the last 2 weeks of school last year, 2 or 3 families moved in with outplaced kids, and then we had to add to the budget, if you remember all of that. But at this moment in time, I am going to tell you, and I told you last week during budget workshop, freezing the budget is going to do little to offset that deficit that we're looking at right now, because we stripped the budget of anything that was in there. So there's little left to, we can freeze it, but there's no big equipment that was left in the budget anyway. So it was down to bare bones. So we're at a point where I don't think we're gonna make it, and there will be no more non-lapsing money to plug that hole. And we find that, and we've got guidance from Steve Sador, our attorney, that we have to follow section 10-222 of the Connecticut regs and follow the procedure. As you recall, when we spoke to the attorney, the town then has to go out and figure out how to provide the Board of Ed with those funds. It may mean for this town, and I don't know the rules on the town side, but it may mean that they have to go out for referendum. If the referendum fails, then the Board of Ed does have recourse legally, but we can't plug the hole this year for the overages in special ed because there's nothing left in the budget to plug it with. So if I have your permission, I will send that letter and make sure that tomorrow to the recording secretary for the Board of Finance and get on the agenda and explain to the Board of Finance on Thursday the need for those funds, although we don't have that final number.
Justin,
Motion to transmit.
Second.
any discussion?
My only discussion point would be, we've got a serving line that's gonna put us in some hot water, no pun intended, health-wise, if we mess up even the littlest a bit on that, because we're dealing with 50-year-old equipment. We've got a steamer that's of the same position, we've got ovens that are of the same position, and we've got the locker thing coming. So my only concern with transmitting this would be, we're trying to earmark, and we've got the $65,000 FY25 deficit that we have to make up for. So I think full transparency is necessary to the Board of Finance to let them know that we're already looking at clearing up some things that are already on our decks. Those, especially the non-lapsing funds, are not going to help us with that, with your current supplemental appropriation ask. And on top of that, we're going to take that $25,000, what we thought was earmarked from a locker perspective, and probably assume that on our own budget and deal with that in-house.
Heather, any? Matt?
No, I was gonna say basically what Justin said.
Okay. Kristen? Daniela? Rick?
Is this still what I wrote down, like $500,000? This, I wrote a number last week, the allocation that you were talking about.
Yes, so then.
And that does not include the 65,000 deficit you were talking about?
That's separate.
That's
That's
separate. Bill wants to say something.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
So last month's special ed estimated deficit did not include those three items that I mentioned. Every month I would specifically mention it didn't include special ed excess cost. IDEA is something that also happens every year, and SEED was brand new this year. So that why we included those to get you from the 500 to the 274 is because last month when we were talking about this, we weren't trying to come up with a number, an estimated deficit to approach the Board of Finance to do a supplemental allocation for. Normally, it's very early in the year for us to be considering those amounts, because we typically, especially with special ed excess cost, we wait to see what we're actually going to get. That 140 should be a conservative estimate of what we're going to get, but unfortunately you never really know, because it depends on things like the mix of kids and how many of the high need kids go above the threshold. Because remember, if the students don't go above the threshold, you get zero in reimbursement dollars.
Yep.
Kathleen, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I think we should caution the Board of Finance, and I think they're well aware of this, that this number, we are required by state statute to inform them as soon as we know that we're running the deficit. But for them to go out to referendum to prove this amount that we're telling them now is too early because that number could change. This is not a number fixed in stone at this moment. And I know, Melinda, that you will make them aware of this, and they are aware of this. I mean, that number, like as of last year, it changed almost the last month of the year for us. When we were preparing the budget, we had to add more money to the budget because of some students coming in. So if they want to go out to referendum, we're just making them aware of this because it is required of us by state statute. Thank you.
What is the date do you expect to have that number then? June 12th or something? At the end of the school year? I don't understand.
I think Melinda had already mentioned, we were hoping to have a firmer estimate in early April. However, to Kathleen's point, if students move in, which happened in
June 1st.
May,
Yeah.
it was very late in the year. Obviously, the impact of those students on the current year budget would be relatively small. It would probably be about 1/10 of the full amount if they moved in May or June. Quick math there. But it really, I cannot emphasize to the board, I mean, I know the veterans on the board know this, and the audience, this can turn on a dime. And obviously, the town has no control over who moves in and who moves out. The impact is stunning.
Matt?
To kind of clarify, I don't know.
Just trying to see the list.
I don't know the
Who's
exact
balanced
numbers,
where here?
Rick, but, and Bill, if Dr. Jones was here, he would know. But essentially, there's a threshold you have to meet. So it's
$4,000.
$104,000. So if we had 10 kids at $100,000, we're on the hook for $1 million. All of it.
Correct.
Boom, once it goes above 104, we get pennies on the dollar for that money over 104. So they're not giving us a lot.
Around
Right.
that.
Yeah,
That
so
was
it's
last year's
That
reimbursement,
was
right?
last year.
yeah, so
And we know
it's
it's going down.
really, so if a kid's costing us $20,000 or a kid's costing us $100,000, we're on the hook for all that.
The full
Correct.
amount.
The full
With
amount.
with no money coming from the state.
Now, there is,
Looking at
there are-
two buckets of money here, some of what you said adds up to about 214,000 if some money comes in.
Totally
And you wanna
different stuff.
spend 218 on some equipment already. But there's a $500,000 you're talking about special ed and 65 deficit. So I'm like, well, who are we asking for that money? The town taxpayer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, we have town reps here as well, and I'm kind of curious how we lining this out and said, okay, selectmen, we're coming to Board of Finance team
It's
for
not
$500,000
Board of
bucks.
Finance.
Yeah, it goes through.
And then
You can.
if we want to buy this equipment out of the other cash, how do we push that forward? Do we wait till something's broken, or do we take the step and we go after that steamer?
The stuff that's broken is almost
That's
it's
a-
essentially
Yeah.
dead. So this the 218,000 versus the 214,000. That is
Yeah.
essentially money that we already kind of have
Yeah,
and are going to have soon, separate from special ed.
okay.
Not related to special ed, and it's things that we need to buy just to keep the
Right.
school running, right?
And hopefully we have a good ice machine.
And hope, yeah.
We just
The
replaced it.
special ed
There's always a
is
silver lining.
something that we can budget for every year. And one year, it was 2 years, 3 years ago, one year, we budgeted for X amount and not as many kids showed up, or some kids moved out of town, and we had extra. And that's where that
Other,
the 97,000, that's what that's from, and we gave some of it back to the town already. But special ed, we can't predict it. We just can't predict it because one kid moves into town, two kids move into town, a family, it just, and
well, it just sounds like there's a couple sets of rules we gotta live by.
There's a lot of sets of
One
rules.
said
Lots of
special ed thing, And then the others, the equipment, that we want to try to
Right.
keep the
Yeah.
day-to-day going.
So what Melinda was saying about we've frozen the budget because
Trying
there's
to
nothing
keep the
left over to
day-to-day.
just kind of dip into. So if, hypothetically speaking, we had $500,000 of field trip money laying around, we could just say, hey kids, you're not going on field trips this year, we have to use that $500,000 for special ed. There's no field, there's nothing, there's no field trip money, there's no rec, there's nothing left to pull from, because for years, decades, we've been, every time something happens in the budget, say, oh, hey, we're short $100,000 on special ed. Oh, kids can't go on a field trip this year. Oh, we can't buy any more books. Boom. That's so. It's we can't replace we can't replace the serving line. We can't replace the steamer. We couldn't. All that stuff has all been deferred for decades because of special ed. Not only, but a lot of it. It just because every time we have a couple extra dollars, it's like, oh, there's a special ed overage. We got to
Put it there.
That's what freezing the budget means from Melinda. Is we wanted to buy textbooks, but we can't. So that's what that means, and it's every year except for one. And that's where we're coming from. That's yes.
That's where
Welcome to the
our
board.
bad
Welcome to the Board of Ed.
Justin?
With the state.
Can we just, so my quick math here has it at about 700K is where we're gonna sit in total, the 140 for the ECG payment, the 222, the 60, and the 274, right? If I add all those up, it's around 700 right now, give or take.
Which is, if I remember right, about where we were.
Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, I think last month it was 6, almost, it was close to 6 last month.
Yes.
I think.
I'm sorry, Justin, but to explain the delta between the two?
Yep.
The development that we're talking about right here with changes in needs without, obviously, we can't get into specifics in here.
Yep.
Here, that happened in December to the tune of just under $100,000. And it was related to, I don't want to get into
Support
any-
service providers.
Right, exactly. We have to be very, very careful there. But that exact negative development in terms of the budget, we saw it 2-3 weeks ago at this point.
Yep.
And you're seeing it in the numbers. And there's no reason that couldn't happen again this month.
Right.
And next month, and the month after that, and the month after that, right? We can
Right.
easily go from a $700,000 deficit to a $1.4 million deficit like that. I think it's important that when we transmit this, both in writing and verbally on Thursday, that we let the Board of Finance know that we have taken steps to offset that total $700,000 number as it sits today. But those steps that we are taking are it.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, applying the grants to that, the excess cost, the seed money, the IDEA, brought that number down. My last correspondence with the Board of Finance was, it was like $500,000, but it brought that number down. Doesn't mean that that number's not gonna jump back up. The difference between this year and last year is we froze the budget at the end of September, early October. We didn't allow anybody to buy anything that they originally put in their budgets. So all that stuff that teachers put in their budgets, or equipment, or whatever Bill had in his budget, none of that got bought because we were already running a deficit. Fast forward to this year, we stripped all that stuff out of the budget last year when we were building the budget. And so, and then of course, the referendum delayed purchasing, and so purchase orders didn't stop flowing until October. And so we're at a point now where, because we stripped that during the budget process, there isn't those pieces of equipment or, large curriculum purchases left in the budget to offset special ed. So there's nothing I can tell you that's in that budget right now that we could rely on to even fill that hole.
I just want to make sure that the Board of Finance understands that the number we gave them last month when you were talking about it versus the number we're asking for versus the number it really is this month, less the offsets that we've already applied.
I think the draft letter explains that.
I just want to make sure that it's abundantly clear and that it's not a set number either.
Right, it can go up.
That it's,
Yeah.
Pray it goes down.
Bill and I will do that presentation in tandem on Thursday.
We'll definitely, and they won't be surprised. They understand it.
I know, I just wanna make
I
sure
know,
that we're.
I want to be on the record, I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But the town will probably, oh, you said it was 274.
that's
And we
my
say,
concern.
oh, it's 350. But you said 274 on that meeting, and that's all they're gonna see.
And that's my concern if come May 1st, we get a couple more students that move in that need some of those additional services, and then it's already out there at a specific number, and now we're like, nope. And then you have a section of the population that'll be like, you lied.
So my question
I
is.
don't know how to fix that.
Me neither.
Yeah, I know.
Well, so, I mean, there's the other side of that, which is we put in the supplemental request for every single dollar that we're currently over. And if we happen to be able to supplement with the 140, the 222, and the 60, then we can draw that number down then. Identifying that it's all there. I don't know the right way to look at this, right? It's show it all, ask for little, show it all, ask for it all. I don't know the right answer to this because the public perception of this is going to be you guys can't manage, the Board of Ed can't manage their budget. What the public doesn't understand, I know everybody in this room does, but what the public doesn't understand is we have zero control over this part of our budget. When you look at every other dollar in our budget in the other areas, we manage it pretty much within 0.5%. This is the only area that we regularly struggle in, whether it's high or low. And I think, I don't know.
And I could tell you in my conversations with the other board chairs, we are not the only district that is struggling with this. There are other districts that are $600,000 overspent in special education. There are others that are even higher than that. There's no, until the state starts doing some auditing of the special education programs and making sure that we're getting, one, the services that we're paid for, that those programs, whether they're privately run or not, are audited appropriately for the fees that they're charging, because they are accepting taxpayer dollars. Unfortunately, that's going, until they start feeling the pressure for that, it's going to be the same story every year, unfortunately. And it's,
Well, and we're 26.51% of our district. Last
Yep.
year, that put us like, I don't know, 15th, 16th. This year, we're 40th.
right. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to move forward with the supplemental allocation. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? That passes. I'll be there on Thursday.
Good, thank you.
Any old business? None. New business. Reappointment of our BOE recording secretary. Okay.
I'll
Motion.
second that enthusiastically.
Second. Any discussion? No. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Sorry, Danielle.
Stuck with us. You're stuck.
Your sentence is better. Probation, not great.
Any correspondence that anybody received?
We just received a thank you note from a teacher who became ill right before the Christmas break. We sent flowers and from the admin team and the Board of Ed, and she sent us a letter of appreciation.
And they're good and on the mend?
Yeah, they're coming back. Everything.
I hope within reason, yes.
Okay. All right. Second round of citizens' comments. Start on the Zoom. Any citizens' comments? Gonna say no. All right. Any in the room? Please state your name and address. Going once. Going twice. Board member comments? Maddie, anything? No? Rick, any comments?
No.
Okay. Daniela?
No.
Kristen?
I just wanted to say that I appreciate your attempt to streamline the meetings and keep us on topic, because we can get a little far off and keep people here a little late, so I do appreciate your attempt in that. And also, I just wanted to say that I was very impressed with everything that Deb has shown us. She was extremely efficient. The presentation was very comprehensive. It was the most from the cafeteria I've seen in my time here, so I really appreciated that and think that she is doing an excellent job.
Matt?
Seconded.
I will second that wholeheartedly on Deb. That was fantastic. Also, I always appreciate when members of other town boards show up, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you. Not to make it a conversation, but just to follow up on what Mr. Herbert said at the beginning of the night. I do understand and respect what he said, and just by approving it at our budget meeting doesn't mean we didn't or won't look at the details,
Right.
but the details are probably already down to the bone, and are already down to the bone. But yes, we will continue to look at it individually and as a group, but just to get things moving along. So thank you.
Heather?
I said what I needed to say before.
Okay. Justin?
I'm going to echo what Matt said about thanking the other board members that are in the room. I do want to be clear and make sure that my motion last week, although it has caused a few additional Tums to be taken before bed, it was fully intended to get the attention on our budget as needed. It also, I did analyze it while I was sitting here at the table. It's $265,000 over last year's original ask after contractual salary increases. We're not asking for the world. We're asking for what we really need. It's a fiscally responsible budget. That's so to say we didn't go over it at all, I think is not fair. We did spend some time on it, and those of us who are aged in the process understand where those numbers are coming from. That's all.
Kathleen, do you have any comments you want to add? Nope, she's good. All right.
And thank you to Mr. Bolte. He was there in spirit. So.
I had a softball clinic tonight. All right, motion to adjourn is by Justin.
Second.
We're done.
Thank
All right.
Thanks, Nick.
Still like around.
It was in her. It was in her superintendent